The hotel guests at the Cecil Hotel were complaining that the water pressure was very low, and that when they turned the water on, it would come out dark or black.
The water did have funny taste.
It wasn't right.
There was something wrong. The pressure in the water was terrible. The shower was awful. The water, and when you turned the tap on, the water was coming black first for 2 seconds, and then it was going back to normal.
When you turned the tap on, the water was coming black first.
Grim discovery at a downtown LA hotel. Police say the body found in a hotel water tank is that of a 21-year-old Canadian tourist, Elisa Lam. KTLA's Eric Spillman joins us live now from downtown LA with the latest on her mysterious death. Good morning.
Hi, Megan. I just got off the phone with the coroner's office, and they're talking about performing an autopsy on the body, perhaps as soon as tomorrow. The cause of death is going to be an important piece of the puzzle here. What a bizarre discovery it was yesterday. Let me show you some pictures of firefighters on the roof here of the Cecil Hotel. The body was found in a large water tank on the rooftop. People staying at the hotel complained of low water pressure, so a maintenance worker went up to check. He found the naked body of a woman in her 20s at the bottom of one of the tanks. Firefighters had to use a saw to cut a hole in the tank, drain the water out, and remove the body. Now, they've identified her as 21-year-old Elisa Lam. She's from Vancouver, Canada, was last seen at the Cecil on January the 31st. Police are calling her death suspicious, not yet calling it a murder, and they're saying they cannot rule out foul play. Here's what's really interesting. Investigators did a thorough search of the hotel, including the rooftop area, 3 weeks ago, and they used search dogs to do it. Also, the only way to the roof is through a locked and alarmed door that only employees have a key to.
Many of us have them. When you talked about how they had to get her out, they had to cut a hole in the top, apparently, of it. So if that's how they had to get her out, how in the world might have she been put in, or had she got in it?
Yeah, that's, and when you think about the restrictions on how you can get up there, you have to go through a locked door. There's an alarm system that notifies the hotel if anyone's up there. It's just very strange.
The elevator at the Cecil opens up, and Elisa Lam walks in and begins to push buttons. She waits for the door to close, but it doesn't. So she looks out to see if there is anyone pushing a button or anyone out there. Is she hiding from someone? We may never know. But the question is, why is the elevator door not closing? In other words, who is controlling it? Throughout this video, it does appear that there is someone to the right that she appears to be talking to, or looking for or at. She re-enters the elevator and then pushes all the buttons again, but the elevator does not respond, nor does it close. The girl in the red jacket or sweater, frantically trying to escape something, trying to flee what she knows is coming, like a helpless little mouse lost in a maze. Elisa Lam becomes very distressed, and it appears as though she's talking to someone. To some, she does appear as though she has been drugged, but the official report says that she had no drugs in her system. This is the last video showing Elisa Lam alive. Shortly after, around 3 weeks, they found her on top of the Cecil Hotel's roof, inside of a water tank. And to think that the residents of the Cecil Hotel were using this disgusting, filthy water for 3 weeks without even knowing they were using the waters that flowed from death, from a dead body. And to think that they had to use the showers and wash their clothes, wash their face. They had to brush their teeth in that filthy, disgusting, dark water. It sounds like something you would see in a movie. Well, guess what? It is. In 2002, years before the Elisa Lam incident, they made a film called The Dark Water. Would you believe that this movie concept is based on an Asian mother and daughter who go to a hotel that involves the elevator and they experience dark water that came from the corpse of a dead little girl's body that fell into the rooftop water tower? In 2005, Hollywood did a remake of Dark Water.
I think we picked the perfect place to live.
You're gonna love it up here. We're 2 blocks from the school.
And you'll notice throughout the whole movie, it's focused on the elevator.
Get stuck in here, huh?
Remember when we watched Elisa Lam frantically pushing the elevator buttons?
Okay, thank you.
Shit. Come on. Who did this? This building is falling apart.
Cecil, stay in the elevator. I'm bringing it down. Cecil, can you hear me?
You take as best you can. Roll it, pat it, and mark it with the bead.
There's a leak in my bedroom ceiling.
And I can hear that there's someone running water upstairs.
Did you say upstairs? There hasn't been anyone up there for years.
So I went into the elevator and the buttons are burnt off.
Why was the door open?
It was locked. Someone else opened it.
Hello?
And the itsy bitsy spider went up the spout again.
And watch this scene as they approach the building. The camera focuses on the very top of the building where the water tower is. Exactly like the Cecil Hotel, where they found Elisa Lam's body. notice how they want you to think that she fell in by accident. And the little girl wears the color of red, the color of the sacrificed one. There are many connections between the Cecil Hotel and the movie Dark Water, but the most unbelievable connection is that the little girl in the Dark Water movie, her name is Cecilia, which is just the feminine form of the word Cecil, which means blind or sixth.
Ceci? You know how they are. She's just exploring.
There's no railing here. It's totally irresponsible.
It's supposed to be locked.
Well, it wasn't.
I'm sorry.
Notice how they say it was supposed to be locked.
Why was the door open?
It was locked. Someone else opened it.
You think about the restrictions on how you can get up there. You have to go through a locked door. There's an alarm system that notifies the hotel if anyone's up there. It's just very strange.
And of course, they blame it all on the maintenance guy.
Why was the door open?
It was locked.
Mr. Beck, why didn't you lock the door to the roof?
I did.
No, she opened it and walked right out. Now, what if she'd gotten hurt?
What are you talking about? I checked it. Hour ago. It was locked. Someone else opened it.
And you'll notice in the movie that he is the one that watches them while they're on the elevator. And you'll notice that the camera is in the same exact position and angle as that of the camera at the Cecil Hotel.
Oh, yeah, there's the camera. Say hi. Mr. Beck is watching us. And I want to take you up to 9.
And look at this coincidence. In the movie, the address is 540 Eastwood. And the Cecil Hotel's address is 640 South Main Street. Now, this next connection is unbelievable. Elisa Lam, believe it or not, during the time that she was missing, down in downtown Los Angeles, there was an epidemic of TB, an outbreak in Skid Row, in the same exact area where Elisa Lam was. And believe it or not, the name of the test, the TB test that they gave, is called the Lam Elisa. The Cecil Hotel has had its share of shady characters, like the satanic serial killer Richard Ramirez, who killed 14 people, and of course he paid $14 a night on the 14th floor. And even the famous Austrian serial killer also stayed at the Cecil. Elizabeth Short was also seen at the Cecil before she was murdered, before she was dismembered and sacrificed. She has become a famous icon. She's famous for her Glasgow smile, the smile of the Joker. She's known as Black Dahlia. And would you believe the star of the Dark Water movie is named Dahlia? In part 1, I established the fact that Elisa Lam was murdered or was killed or sacrificed in 2013 at the Cecil Hotel on the rooftop, and she was found dead inside of this cistern water tower. And I showed how the Hollywood film Dark Water resembles a very eerie resemblance to the actual real-life incident with Elisa Lam at the Cecil Hotel, with key events that involve elevators, and of course, the dead body of a little girl in a water tower. And of course, the little girl's name is Cecilia, which is the feminine form of Cecil. And I established the fact that during the time of the Elisa Lam investigation and murder, there was an outbreak of tuberculosis, TB, which is funny because during that same time, the test for the TB test was called Lam Elisa. It boggles the mind, which is probably why they say that some mysteries were never meant to be solved. And that's exactly what a good conspiracy is. It's one that takes you for a ride on a spiraling, twisting, twirling adventure of fantasy, of falsehood, and delusions. And this idea can be found in the symbol that Dark Water shows you. Did you see it? It's the rabbit on the desk. The symbol of the MK Ultra mind control following the white rabbit. And if you've seen my videos in the past, you know I show the gateway or the portal of the one dimension going into another dimension, which is seen throughout many Hollywood films, going down the sacred hole. So now I want you to think about the Elisa Lam case falling into the water tank, as well as the movie Dark Waters of the little girl climbing into the water tank. Throughout the entire movie, the little girl is trying to obtain the untangible, the untouchable, that which she cannot hold and grasp, and that is the backpack with the little bunny rabbit or the little Hello Kitty on it. So the white rabbit in this case is represented by a little kitty cat known as Hello Kitty from Japan, with their most popular episode called Alice in Wonderland, with Hello Kitty as she searches for the untouchable and the unobtainable little white rabbit.
That's strange.
And now she falls down the hole, falling into darkness, the unknown, the dark side, taken from innocence into truth.
I can catch him now anywhere at all. I won't be able to go home.
Alice cried so much that the room started filling up with all the water from her tears.
Kinda looks just like a water tank filling up. So the Hello Kitty was used in the second film, which represented the rabbit, because in the first film they used a white rabbit with the red bag of SacRAfice. And it's the same story with The Wizard of Oz, where we have the wizard who is truly the man behind the green screen. Thus, Dorothy is on a journey on the spiraling Golden Brick Road. Notice the spinning house that is twirling and swirling. So again, we have Dorothy, who is the 12-year-old little girl on a journey, and you'll notice that she's pure and innocent, thus the old-fashioned black and white, thus the door that opens to a new colorful world of Oz. As I have explained in my older videos, that Dorothy's name means the doorway. So she is the young character, or the fool who goes on a journey through the doorway or the portal. Exactly like the Matrix. Swirling and twirling, falling through the portal, down the rabbit hole. Do you have any idea how far down the rabbit hole actually goes? And did you see the Illuminati's 23? Let's see it again. You see right here they're showing you the Illuminati number of 23. You just have to reverse it and spin it and turn it around. The Sacred Tunnel. And the key that leads to wisdom, knowledge, and enlightenment. And of course, the Matrix features the elevators. Take notice of the portal of the 101. The two worlds, or the bi-realms. The bipolar of the Matrix of red and blue. For years now, in many of my videos, I have explained the theology of the Illuminati's red and blue, which is embedded in everything around you. And it's rooted in the very religion that was made for you. So now you will understand why Dark Water, the DVD, was released as a widescreen or a full screen version with the colors of red and blue. One of the first films I made was called Where the Evil Things Are, which exposed the evil Illuminati, Hollywood, pedophilic, disgusting Beltane rituals that they had. But this movie also pertains to the bunny, as you see that he's dressed as, and of course all of the holes going down the rabbit hole.
This is madness! Madness. This is Sparta!
This portal is also known as a devil's hole, like this example from Land of the Lost.
By the mouth of the cave.
Something's happening! It's beautiful!
There is no escape. Don't make me destroy you.
And of course, we all can't forget the portal or the tunnel, the hole Skywalker falls down.
Come with me. It is the only way.
And of course, the Emperor also met the same fate and traveled the same journey down the rabbit hole. Then there's the horror flick, The Elevator, and of course, the elevator that's about the devil. You will notice that everything is inverted upside down. It is opposed. It is the devil or the deceiver. Now watch as they pan over the roof and then go down the rabbit hole. Because everything happens for a reason.
This is not good.
And of course, they're on elevator number 6.
There's elevator 6 in inspection mode.
Oh, come on, man.
And during the movie, they say that the only way they can get out is on floor 23. The Illuminati number of 23. And we can't talk about mind control and pedophilia and Satanism without bringing up the great, wonderful world of Disney.
To infinity and beyond. Approaching destination. Re-engaging gravity.
Did you notice he said reaching our destination, and then they show the level 23? At the Disney California Adventure Park, they have a ride called the Hollywood Tower. And of course, the entire ride is about an elevator.
Tonight's story in the Twilight Zone is somewhat unique and calls for a different kind of introduction. This, as you may recognize, is a maintenance service elevator, still in operation, waiting for you. We invite you, if you dare, to step aboard, because in tonight's episode, you are the star. And this elevator travels directly to the Twilight Zone.
What happened here to dim the lights of Hollywood's brightest showplace is about to unfold once again. One stormy night long ago, 5 people stepped through the door of an elevator and into a nightmare. That door is opening once again, but this time, it's opening for you.
And then we have The Cabin in the Woods, which of course was all about the elevators. Warner Brothers brought us The Goonies, the traveling fools who go on a journey down the rabbit hole.
Started the tunnel. The secret caves. Join the adventure.
Bull penis worship with the United States Washington Monument and all of the ritualistic sex magic symbolism. And that's why the president lives in the White House, which means the House of Baal. And that's why the president faces Baal when he is elected. And so now you'll know why the bull penis of Baal is in the vagina or the hole of the goddess, in the very center of the vesica piscis. And if you don't believe me, you can Google it. And by the way, notice that his right hand is raised, exactly like the ancient depictions of Baal. And of course, the depictions of many of the Elohim, or the ancient gods of the ancient religions, would have their right hand raised, which is why they have images of Jesus raising his right hand. And of course, depicting pictures of God with his right hand raised, which is why the Pope also raises his right hand. So raising the right hand is a symbol of power and strength, which is why you will find the royal elite raising their right hands, signifying their authority and their power. And the funny thing is that the people actually think that the royalty are taking their time to wave at them, when the reality is that they are raising their right hand to show that they are the ones who are in control. They are the ones who hold the power. And now you know why their minions raise their right hands, to show their allegiance. Because El was the first mighty one to hold the power. Then El passed his powers on to his child or his offspring, Baal, who becomes the mighty storm god, the one who yields the power of thunder and lightning, which is why he raises his right hand, exactly like Zeus, and exactly like Jesus or Jesus, the storm god or goddess who raises their right hand. So Baal was the original character of nature before Yahweh or Jesus. Baal was known as the storm god, the rider of the clouds, which is exactly why the Bible says, "Exalt him who rides on the clouds," and his name is Yahuwah or Yahweh. So now that you understand that raising your right hand is an allegiance to El or Baal, you'll completely understand the High El, which means raising your right hand in allegiance to the Most High El. And of course, El Esther Crowley and his wannabe followers also raise their right hand. And now you know why the Baphomet or the Baphomet also raises his right hand with his left hand down. And of course, the Illuminati portrays our first president, George Washington, in the form of the Baphomet, as above, so below, with his right hand raised. Because the right hand is a symbol of power. It is a symbol of strength and force. And you've seen the use of the symbolism of the raised right hand your entire life, but didn't know it. And of course, in fighting, using your right hand is the winning combination, which is exactly why when you win with the right hand, they raise your right hand. And now you know exactly why Yoda has the power of the Force within his right hand. And now you know exactly why Luke had his right hand cut off. Because the dark side also uses the power of the right hand. So since ancient history, the right hand has been a symbol of power and authority, which is why it is still used to this very day. A powerful, bold symbol that has been placed right under our noses, and we didn't even know it. And we are all under the spell of El. And that's exactly why the law of the land is ruled by the judicial Judaic law. And that's exactly why if you get into trouble, you will have to go to court, and then they will place your left hand on a Bible, and they will make you raise your right hand to show your allegiance to El. And when the judge judges you, he will do it with his right hand. Then you become a criminal, and that's why they put you in jail. And if you want to get out of jail, you have to pay bail. And so now you'll understand why the judicial house of Judah has the logo of the goddess of justice, the goddess who holds the power in her right hand, the goddess of truth and justice, and of course the goddess of liberty, the goddess Columbia. Because the ones that own us give us our liberty. They don't give us freedom. And now you know the truth behind the power of the right hand on the Statue of Liberty. And she holds the scales of balance by El. And now you know why the Elites give us the Liberty Bell. Baal. And that's exactly why you will find the fertility of Baal at your church. And you'll notice that when you actually raise the arm of the right hand, it actually forms the symbol of the letter L, which of course is why we have an elbow. So the ancient fertility cycle of the ancient world still lives on to this very day. But remember, like I always say, that the ancient worship of the goddess, the matriarchy worship, was before the patriarchy worship of today. Because when we look in the past beyond 6,000 years ago, we find that it was the ancient goddess who was worshipped. In fact, this is why they portray Jesus with his right hand raised in the middle or the center of the Vesica Piscis, inside of the sacred goddess, which represents the symbol of her vagina, the sacred hole of the goddess. In fact, that's why the characters of the Bible, including Jesus, are born in a cave and die in a cave. In fact, in the classic film called the Odyssey, the entire mythological film is about the traveling fools, or the seamen, who go to a cave and battle the fertility of the goddess, or the serpent goddess, the dragon goddess. It's an ancient symbol of slaying the dragon, thus the representation of the fertility of sex. So anyway, the movie continues as the seamen enter the cave of the goddess until they reach the end, where they come to what is the cervix of the woman, which is why they show the sea earth monster that swallows up all of the seamen and their phallic ship. And of course, it even shows it spraying up like a female orgasm. And like I've explained in my films before, if you watch Pirates of the Caribbean, it's the same exact story. And so now I think you understand a little bit more about the Matrix and the White Rabbit and going down the sacred tunnel, or the hole. And now I think you'll understand this scene a little better.
This is the nature of the universe. We struggle against it, we fight to deny it, but it is, of course, pretends it is a lie. Beneath our poised appearance, the truth is we are completely.
The thus showing you that the matrix to the universe is down the sacred hole of the goddess. And of course, you will find this same sex magic in the state of Israel. The Rothschilds, or the Red Childs of SacRAfice, donated and designed the Israel Supreme Court building, which is hidden and embedded with ritualistic sex magic symbolism. And the emerald green of the land of Oz, which represents the sun in springtime, the house of Aries, the ram, or the lamb, or the rabbit. Thus, Mary, or March, the house of Aries, had a little lamb. And of course, that's why Mouton Rothschild's logo is the lamb or the ram. And of course, that's why the Matrix shows you the colors of the Emerald City of green, because it represents the fertility time of springtime. So like I said, that's why the rabbit of Playboy represents the horny fertility of the sexy goddess. So it's all about following the white bunny to the sacred rabbit hole. And that's why the Playboy bunny's ears are sticking straight up, because they're showing you the symbol of the horns, because she is horny. And if you watched Dark Waters, then you would know that the little girl with the bunny rabbit little backpack that fell into the cistern drew a picture of a little girl with horns. So the rabbit going in and out of the rabbit hole is an ancient symbol of sex, which represents the fertility of earth and nature during springtime when it is reborn from death. Thus, springtime or Easter is the time of fertility. It is the gateway or the portal between the twin pillars, thus the 101, which is the trinity of the sex magic of life. And now you might understand why a magician always has sexy little helpers. And of course, his magic comes from the sacred hole of the hat, which is why he pulls the bunny from the rabbit hole. And we find the ritualistic sex magic of the 101 with King Solomon and his twin pillars, the Temple of Solomon, which is a symbol of sex magic. And like I said earlier, you'll find the same sex magic in Washington, D.C. And of course, we can't talk about the Illuminati's sex magic ritual symbolism without bringing up September 11th, the World Trade Center. The 101 and the 0, ground zero, which is exactly why they tell us about the whole of the World Trade Center. And like I said before, the Illuminati is obsessed with their sacred hole, or their devil's hole, which is why when the World Trade Center was taken down and rebuilt again, they made sure to put in a devil's hole. So perhaps now you'll understand why September 11th was all about the holes. Thus, the sex magic ritual, which is why they used the phallic planes, or the jets, to crash into and poke the holes. And of course, the World Trade Center had the elevators.
As it turned out, we had no usable elevators.
With the elevators out, there was only one way to get up there. Walk.
case now, but I do know that one of the towers had a major elevator that went all the way to the top that was malfunctioning and has been malfunctioning for at least a month. They've been having a lot of trouble with that.
Tommy, have you made it back down to the lobby yet? The elevator's screwed up. You can't move it?
And if you've seen Arthur and the Invisibles, then you will have seen the same exact stories I've been telling you about, which is going down the rabbit hole.
Close again for 1,000 days.
36 hours! I'll do my best!
Good luck, Arthur.
The numbers 1,000 and 36 represent the eternal life that is given from the houses of the zodiac. And just in case you didn't get it, they even show you the directions of the zodiac. So we obviously have seen the scene from Dark Waters of the little girl who falls into the water tank or the water cistern, exactly like Elisa Lam. So the entire reason that I included the clips of Arthur and the Invisibles is because of this next scene. Once again, we see the same scenario with the young child who crawls up to the water tower or the cistern to go after something that has fallen inside, and the child falls in as well, just like Elisa Lam. Arthur is an orphan as well, exactly like the historical story of King Arthur and the sword in the stone, because Wart, or Arthur, was an orphan. And for those of you who have watched my movies in the past, you'll know that I've shown you several times about the obsession the Illuminati has with the orphan. In fact, the vast majority of Hollywood films, you'll find that the main character or a related co-character will almost always be the character of the orphan. I'll be watching movies with my family, and time again, I'll point out the fact to them that the story, once again, is about the Illuminati, one that is orphaned. So I could obviously go on for days showing you examples of the Illuminati orphans that surround our everyday lives, including the Matrix and Star Wars. And of course, the biblical characters that were orphans, that included Moses and Jesus, including the Islamic Muhammad. And I don't even have time to go into the fact of the numerical 711 and 911 numerology. But here is just a couple of examples. The upcoming film Dawn of the Planet of the Apes will be released on 7/11. And of course, Caesar is an orphan. And the movie The Hole, which is about two orphans, was released on September 11th. And of course, they go down the rabbit hole. In fact, this past weekend, I even watched a couple of movies with my son, and guess what? They were both about orphans. In fact, we went to the movies and watched Earth to Echo, which is a story about a little orphaned alien. And by the way, in Silence of the Lambs, the whole story is based around Jodie Foster, who plays the foster child, or the orphan. Which brings me back to the Elisa Lam case, where I find it extremely strange that the last person to see her alive was named Katie Orphan, the last bookstore. And of course, the little girl that plays the character in dark water is also an orphaned little girl. And remember that an orphan is defined as anyone who loses either one or both of their parents. Now, as far as we're aware, Elisa Lam is not an orphan, but we do have the connection with Katie Orphan. So Elisa Lam was found in the water tank, or the cistern, and this is the actual one that they cut her out of. A cistern goes back to ancient times. It is a water capture device, or a water holding device. The etymology of cistern is the cista, which is the box or the basket, and the urn, which we all know is a death vessel or a tomb. After Elisa's death, mourners left this memorial for her. Notice the bunny and notice the butterfly. And speaking of death, the number 13 surrounds Elisa Lam's death, the Illuminati number of 13. The elevator scene in which we see Elisa Lam is on the 14th floor, but the 14th floor is actually the 13th floor. And we all know how the Illuminati loves to use their bipolar or reverse symbolism, which is why on 13113 the elevator video was filmed, and the police released the video on 2/13/2013. Earlier I told you about Richard Ramirez, who stayed on the 14th floor, but it was actually the 13th floor, and we all know that he was a Satanist. And the Satanist connection continues with Aleister Crowley and the entity that he conjured called Lamb. And Aleister Crowley actually stayed at the Cecil Hotel in London, and while he was there, he wrote a poem about a lonely tower and demons and even water, called Jephthah. The biblical Jephthah sacrificed his daughter as a burnt offering. But the interesting connection here is that the daughter's name was Sheila, Selah. It's an anagram for Elisa. But the interesting thing is that the etymology of the word means blind, which is the exact same meaning as Cecil, which I explained to you earlier in the video. Now I want you to pay close attention to this version of Dark Water from 1994. It's a satanic film about the dark waters. But what's really interesting is the aspect of being blind.
For those who are blind shall see the true face of the beast and forever suffer it in their soul. For those who are blind shall see the true face of the beast and forever suffer it in their soul.
Slit Wrist is a death metal band. Notice the Glasgow smile, and of course the eyes that are blind. One of the leaders of the group is called Morbid 13. It seems as though that he has claimed that he is the killer of Elisa Lam. Whether it's true or not is not known, but one thing is for sure, it's very unsettling and disgusting for someone to even claim such a thing. He seems to be obsessed with the Cecil Hotel and Dahlia, as you can see her in the background picture. And there are some reports out there saying that Elisa Lam has a dark side that we don't know about. But I found it strange that she took this picture with the hood. So, not sure what's going on at the Cecil Hotel, but I find it strange that, of course there's a lot of satanic influence that is attributed to the Cecil Hotel.